So hi everyone, and I hope you're going well. Today I wanted to talk about the use of Chris Argyris's Ladder of Inference tool to enhance your decision making. So the tool was created by Chris Argyris and his team to give people another way of viewing and gaining perspective over any incident, anything that they wanted to think about in the work. So his view was more from a leadership potential of, well, leaders need to use tools like this to really reflect on decisions that they're making, to make sure that they've looked at all aspects clearly and, with a logical flow as opposed to a feeling flow. So look at the facts, take out the feelings, because when we want to reduce conflict or make really clear decisions, we have to be transparent in, how we got our decision, how we got to the thought that we got to. So, because if we're not transparent, as, people who make decisions, people can poke holes in them, and people will poke holes in them because that's the nature of humans to do that. So because, particularly in environments that are full of stress, and particularly in environments where there is a high fatigue level of the team members, we become very blame orientated, we become very pulling apart orientated, and we're not our best selves in those environments. So that's why this tool can be a really handy one to help you make a decision. One thing I have seen when using this tool with people is that they use it independently. So they use it as a silo. So I'm the leader, I'll make the decision, I'll do this. And they use this tool to justify their end point. The problem is, if we do that, we're only looking at our perspective. We're only looking at our point of view. And that can really cause us a lot of trouble if we only ever look at our point of view, because we create our own narrative in our head. We create our own righteousness. And so if I sit with myself all the time and tell my own story to myself and generate my own righteousness, I will always be right. That's interesting, isn't it? And you can live your life like that, but don't be surprised when you do find that people will find holes in your work a lot. People will indicate that you're wrong. People will argue with you, because while you're right in your own head because you've told yourself your own story and your own narrative, there is a lot of other perspectives when we work with others, and we do have to consider other people's point of views. We might not agree with them, and that's fine. But the thing about working with people is that we listen to their stories, we share their points of view, and we sort of adapt and change and flex, because we want to collaborate with people. We're not islands, and we want to collaborate with others, and we want to, really look at all aspects. So let's pull the ladder up. I'm going to put it up on the screen. We're going to go through it, and I want to show you how you could use this with, and this is the proviso, you don't use this in a silo. You don't just go, I'm going to use the ladder of inference to prove that I'm right. Okay, yeah, you can use the tool and do that totally. I wonder why you'd want to do that though. Maybe you're learning leadership and or you're trying to understand leadership and maybe trying to understand how, sometimes leaders do this, and they do work in silos and they isolate themselves and they don't share their ideas and they're not transparent. So yeah, that could help you have empathy and compassion for leaders who are short-sighted and don't really understand how to include others when making decisions. Yeah, so that could be a good thing. But what I'm encouraging you to do as, a group of people is to sit together to use this tool to actually look at all aspects. And so you can use this tool in alignment with a document example that I offer when I educate this. And so if you want that tool, you can contact me and get that tool. Although if you've attended one of my workshops, you probably have it in one of my Padlets that I've left behind. So if you go into the resources section of that Padlet, you'll find that tool and you can download that. And you can read my examples a bit more clearly while you're listening to this clip today. So, okay, let's get going. Let's pull the ladder up. Let's have a look. The first step in the ladder is to, follow the steps. You can do it in a sort of step manner and go from the bottom to the top to make the decision and the action clear and coherent. Or you can start at the top and work backwards. It really is based on on how you best engage with it. And this is the thing about tools. You use them the best way you use them to get the best outcomes you want, right? So sometimes people start at the action point and work backwards to try and understand how an action occurred. So if we have an action that we don't understand, we can use it and start at the top here with action. And then we can go back down and look at the beliefs about the world that person had, where they drew their conclusions from, the assumptions that may have been included in the decision making. What were the personal cultural meanings that the person had, and and how did they filter those things? And so that's how you can use it in reverse. But when you come together as a group and you're trying to make a decision together about a work process or how you want to proceed forward with something you're doing in the workplace, you might find it easier to go, okay, as a group of people, what are we observing at the moment? What is the data? What is the experience that we've got at the moment? So it might be in your organisation is that, you feel that there's a negative culture going on. You're looking around and you're going, what's going on here? We've got a high sick leave. We've got people, resigning everywhere. We're just observing. We've got people who are having a lot of sick leave. So this is observable data. This is anybody could walk in to your organisation and they would notice and they could look at sheets and go, geez, there's a high sick leave environment. You've had high resignations. You've got a 30% of turnover of staff. And generally, when I see people, they're not willing to engage. They're averting eyes. They're showing signs of, that they're not really wanting to be here. They're not engaging easily. Okay, so this is what I can see. So, that's and the important part of this part is it's what everybody can see. It's that idea of I could not be related to this organisation and I could walk in and quickly get an idea of this information because it's obvious. The next level here is I take that and I go, what's going on here? What's the sense? What am I feeling? So, and then I go around and I sense that people are unhappy, and I hear in intermittent conversations where I can hear people, not speaking in a kind way, not, maybe enacting the beliefs of the organisation. I see tired behaviour where people are reacting and not being kind to self as well. So I see some of that and I go, okay, all right, what am I going to filter here? What will I include and what will I exclude in this data? So will I include information from everybody? So will I look, if I want to understand this better, will I go around and will I understand all the levels of the organisation, and will I go, what's going on here? Are the workers on the floor? How are they feeling? Then I can go to the second tier leadership team and I can go, can you tell me how you're feeling and tell me what your perspectives are here about what's happened in this organisation? And then I can go to the leadership groups and I can go, what are you feeling? What are you noticing? And I can understand that, and I can see, what's going on here, what's been happening, and potentially also start measuring how long this has been going on for as well, because that gives me more information. So now I've got quite an amount of data. I've got obvious things, I've got felt things, and I've got, a decision about, length of time as well that this has been happening. So then I have to go further and understand, and this is when I'll add some of my knowledge, potentially, my experiences of, working in teams and seeing teams. And I'll look at these cultural, you start looking at cultural meanings. You look at the, what the group's made up of, and you understand, well, how has it come to be that, when we understand healthcare workforce, for instance, they're a tired group of people. They work that, you know, COVID was a really hard experience because they lost a lot of control of how they worked in their organisations. So then I go, oh, okay, what happened to this group? And personally, how did that impact them? You know, do they feel the same way that they feel about the work that they do? Do they have the same, you know, do they get the same satisfaction from their work anymore? Or is that really impossible for them to do now? Okay, so this is when we sort of can add some of our personal understandings. And see, this is where meaning, if I have no awareness of you know, my personal cultural stories, if I have, you know, racist beginnings, I can bring racist beginnings into this as well. So you can see meaning here is a really important one, because I can bring my bias to this and I can actually affect the outcome not positively if I am not mindful of my biases. If I haven't invested in myself personally to understand who I am and where I'm from, I can drive this to not work out for everybody, okay? And it won't be an inclusive decision. All right, so this is where we've got to be. Meaning and filtering is really an important part of this process. And this is why I say you can't silo this decision. I can't just, from my point of view, I am not an oracle. I am not a knower of all things. I actually have to make decisions with team. Okay, so when I come into using this ladder of inference, I have to go, okay, what are other people's meanings? What do other people see here? You know, because I don't see everything. I only see the part that people allow me to see, or the part that I'm willing to see. So I get other people in at this point, because when I get other people in at this point, I actually get more questions and it becomes more robust, because now it can really help me filter this next level in the ladder, which is the assumptions. Because I can make a lot of assumptions. And in my example that I give in the workshop, I do give an example of how we, you know, how I've actually seen a leader use this ladder to make their decision about a staff group being unhappy. And it was a really bad decision that happened. And because they sat in their own mind and they, you know, they went, well, it's just that everyone's unhappy. They've turned into a whingy group and they don't want to pull their socks up and get on with it. So, you know, they're just not willing to work hard. So I'm not willing to listen to them if they're not willing to work hard. Okay, so you can see that can be my assumption based on the fact that, you know, in my life, I've been in nursing forever and I've been a hard worker and I've just stuck in and I've just got it done. So why can't all you lot do that? You know, and so I could go in with that assumption and I could keep driving to an action where, you know, I just let my staff go and I let them be sick and I let them be unhappy. That's when the ladder is proving your own point and probably not as helpful as it was created to be. So that's why I'm saying, if you're going to use this ladder, use it as a team, get other people's assumptions, meanings, filters, all brought into it. So this middle section is really full of data, knowledge, and, you know, the culture of the group, okay? Because then when we get to this conclusion where I go, okay, what we've got here is a really tired team. Why is this team so tired? It's because there is a lot going on in the team. There is, you know, we still haven't had the time to recover from COVID. We still haven't been able to rebuild since COVID, because yes, at COVID time, there was a lot of people who had a moment to go, you know what, my health is really important and I've got to look after my health now. So I'm going to resign because it's retirement time and I'm just going to take my retirement early and I'm going to go. So now we've lost a lot of our old timers, and our old timers took a lot of knowledge with them. So, okay, now we've got to, you know, get that senior knowledge, that old timer knowledge back up again, and we've got to get our senior skill mixes right again. So, okay, how am I going to invest in that so that, you know, we've got that robust group again that, you know, can think, you know, who know how to fly on their feet and all of those sorts of things. So how can I build the team up to get that sort of cohesive workflow happening again? All right, what can we do? okay, I'm going to have to do a lot of talking. We're going to have to build some education in there. We're going to have to build some, care workshops in there where maybe we create segments of time where we actually come together for 15 minutes once a week and just check in with each other. Okay, that's going to have to become part of the system as well. All right, so this is where, and then we can, and we've got a point at that point where we can create a plan and draw conclusions and believe that this is the way forward. So this really relates to this next section of belief, where we go in and we go, you know what, I'm going to believe this and I'm going to, move towards action at this point. But I can stop here on the ladder and I can go, this is what we need to do, but I'm going to think about it a bit more. And we can draw our conclusions and we can go back down the ladder. So we could actually create a strategy about moving forward and how we can increase, capacity of staff to, get some of their, positive culture drivers back so that we can build the team up and support the team to feel better about coming to work every day. Okay, so what we do is we create a plan, we build a strategy, we go back to everyone and we go, hey, everyone who was in on this decision, let's go back and have a look and what would you think of this plan? And go back down here and, get people to filter it, add their meanings and, and look what, and question some of their assumptions about the plan. Because from that, we could actually add or subtract some of the creations of thoughts that we've done to create this new strategy from the first conclusion. Now we're getting really robust. Now we're getting some really great traction, which will lead to good action happening. Okay, because and remember, the whole time that you're doing this, you're drawing conclusions and you're going back to people to have further conversations. You're building a group who are really invested. And this is what teams love. Teams love being part of the big picture. Teams love being part of the group. So you're getting buy-in. You're getting people who are seeing action and seeing that someone's genuinely trying to make something different and better. Okay, so you go back and you filter, you mean and assume. So you go back down the ladder again. See, this is a beautiful thing about the ladder, up and down, back and around. Use it well, and it can be a beautiful, robust decision that you get at the end. So anyway, we're back up at conclusion. We go, yeah, that's what we're going to go with. We're going to, we're going to put it out to the group and we're going to say, this is what we're doing moving forward. And then you start doing it. Fabulous. Then make sure, this is just an added strategy idea, which one, I do believe in, and one that I've done previously with my teams as well, is when you get to that action point and you're doing it, then I roll it out and I make it happen. But then I also come back in a couple of months, check in again, and I go back down the ladder and I go back to the observable data and experiences, and I look around and I go, has our sick leave changed? Have I got people still leaving the organisation? How are people going? And so through those strategy parts that I built into my system, there will be check-in times when I want to go back down to this observable data and experience and observe and sense the group and go, how are they going out there? Is this strategy, is this idea, is this previous action really working the way it was intended? Have we built a group that is feeling better? Have we built a group that has, who feels invested and is getting satisfaction about coming back to work? And that's what we're trying to do here. So I would love to know if you've got any questions. And if you do, please contact me. You have my details to get in contact with me. I've just put them above my head right now. So email me. If you want to run through this personally, contact me. I'd really be happy to help you. I know this tool, I've seen it in action, and I've worked alongside leaders who have started opening their mind to the idea that they're not the only word of law in an organisation, and it can make things better. if you sit together as a group and take time to go, what is the reality of our situation? What are our assumptions? And what's possible, you know? And it takes the feeling and the emotion out. It sticks to the facts. It does a bit of a check-in to go, there is another way of thinking on this. There is another perspective here that I hadn't considered, because I can't consider all perspectives because I am only one brain. And that's the thing about one brain. It needs other brains to work with. So that's what this is all about, working together to come up with a transparent decision that everybody can see and everybody can go, I can see how they got to that decision. All right, yeah, all right, I'm willing to give this a crack because I can see this was a thoughtful decision and it was a cared for decision. And while I don't 100% agree with it all, I can see what they're trying to do here and I'm going to align with it. All right, yeah, it's positive. Okay, and that's how we can get buy-in in our group when we come together. We can be extremely powerful when we combine our minds and come together. Have a fabulous day. Thank you. Keep making great decisions. Bye.